What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We've got some odds and ends that we're going to be fixing up on the car today. We've got a ton of stuff that we want to do, stuff that we've been putting off for a little while, so we're going to get cracking on all of that stuff and try and get it knocked out. Some really good news that I had today is our body kit is all done by JSAI over in New South Wales. I've organised to have it picked up by one of our drivers as well, so on Monday morning, I believe it is, it's getting picked up. And it'll be making its way down to South Australia, and it might be a week or two in the transport because it's not coming directly here, but it's got to go to Victoria and then here. So hopefully it'll be a week or 2 weeks at the absolute most, and we'll have the body kit here, which I'm absolutely stoked at. Ollie had the biggest grin on his face when I told him that, so we're pretty pumped. Then we can start sorting out paint. Anyway, that's enough about stuff that isn't here right now. Let's get rid of some of this stuff which is right here. We're gonna be sorting some of this stuff out. I've been putting these off for so long. I'm gonna get these done today so that I don't have to think about them anymore. I'm having nightmares about them. So we'll get them out of the way and done. The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be painting our calipers. So our calipers are all standard, normal, boring looking calipers. We're gonna use some of this MTN Pro, which is the stuff I used for the rocker covers, which worked out pretty well, didn't it, man?
Yeah.
It looked pretty good. So we're gonna use this stuff, gloss black on the calipers, front and rear, and then we're gonna shave off that Nissan on the front of the caliper as well, so that stands out and pops out and should look really neat. All right, let's get cracking into it. Let's get the car jacked up and get these wheels off and have a look at these calipers. Alright, Ollie's got all the wheels off, little legend. So the plan is to give these a real good brake clean. I'm not sure if it's too dark in there to see, but we're going to give these a real good scrub. We've got a brush, got a nice bristled brush. We've got some brake parts cleaner as well. It's important to use the proper brake parts cleaner so that you don't leave any residue on the disc or the pads. Got a big tub under here so we can catch all the crap that comes off there, but so you can see lots of brake dust and crud on there. So we'll give these a good scrub as good as we can. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to get them as good as we can, and masking off everything first and then laying down some paint.
A few moments later.
We're just going to try and mask everything up, get everything out of the way. As best we can, sort of like that. All right, we've got the caliper all cleaned up as best as we can. I don't think it's going to get much cleaner than that. It's had a lot of brake dust on there, obviously, which is understandable. But we've got the caliper all masked off, and we've got a plastic bag all the way around, so we're not going to paint anything on the disc. Although if we did get any on the actual mating surface of the disc where the pads touch, the pads would just wipe it off eventually anyway, so it's not a problem. But we'll try and keep it all neat. Want to keep it off the hub and the wheel studs, and we'll try and keep it away from it back here as well. I'm going to go light on the first coat on both sides, and then we'll go a little bit heavier on the second coat, and then the third one will go even heavier again, hopefully without getting any runs. We should be able to get that looking pretty nice, I reckon. So these little pins that go through here, they hold the pad in and hold that pad locator in. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to clean them up as best as I can so I can get them nice and silver, because we are going to sand that Nissan down later to get it, you know, beautiful and fresh and silver as well. So we got that little pin, this pin and that pin. We'll clean them up before we get pretty filthy. Get these pads out of the way. I might even be able to get that bag. All the way through there, look at that, that's heaps better. All right, let's get some paint on. So the paint I'm using, yeah, is this MTN Pro, which is the same stuff we used on the rocker covers, which I really like the look of. They look like a really good quality paint. So the color is that cap around the top there, this bit here. Nice gloss back. Throw some light coats on. Oops. Comes out a fair bit, wow. We'll go prep the other side, and hopefully when we come back to this one, it should be ready for a second coat. ready for a clean. Doesn't look too bad in there, still a little bit filthy, but we've got this one all masked up as well. We've got the caliper is the only thing that can be visible, and then we're not going to get paint over anything else. Might get a little bit of overspray on here, but I've got to detail them and clean them later once the car's all painted as well. So I'll get this all looking really, really nice under here a little bit later down the track. They're going to need about 45 minutes between coats. So in the meantime, I'm going to take that opportunity to chuck these rack bushes in. From what I know and remember, there's 4 17mm bolts holding the rack onto the cross member. Pretty simple. I just need something to undo those 4 17s, like the rattle gun I've got ready. Honk that down there, and then the other thing we want to do is just pry the rack up a little bit so we can get the new bushes in, or the old bushes out and the new bushes in. So for that, have something like that, maybe even a long spanner as well. I've got a pry bar somewhere as well, which might come in handy. Actually, I can use a jack handle. So we can use these. We've got our 17mm socket on the end of the ratchet. We've got our bushes. Let's hop under the car and have a look at this and get it done. Probably should have put the car up a little bit higher. Good view of the JJR front and dump pipe. We've got some goodies coming for that middle bit next week for off-road use only, of course. But in here, I don't know if you can make that out, this is our steering rack right here. This is one of our bolts. Another bolt is accessed through the cross member there. I'm gonna need an extension, I reckon, and then the other one here. So one's a funny shape, it's got a pointy bracket, you can see here, that clamps down on top of it. So we're basically got 2 bolts that sandwich that down onto the cross member nice and safely. So these bushes I can already feel are really, really soft and rubbery and not got any tension at all. So I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see much at all. It's a pretty shitty shadow with the sun out the front, but both 17mm bolts, not very long. And this shield pops out the way. You'll probably get the other side off as well. If I can get this bracket out, I'll show you what this looks like. Oh, there you go. Bush is absolutely hammered. I'll show you that better outside once we're finished, but that's one of the brackets that holds that down. And then that's all fluffy. This pasty, gross bush on one side. You don't know how satisfying it is being under here after all the crap we went through to put this engine together properly. All the new seals and everything. It's really good to be under here and it'll be dry. There's not a drop of oil anywhere that I can see, which is really, really good, except for in my eyeball. But let's get the new bushes in there. So we've got some grease in there, obviously. We don't want these bushes. So whenever you're replacing to Northane bushes, you'll find that if you don't grease them up very well, you'll get heaps of squeaks, because it sort of squeaks on that new surface. So we're going to lay some grease down on all of those surfaces and then wrap that around the steering rack. And then we'll put those clamps back on and tighten it up. So that bracket has a pointy bit on one side. Let's see if we can get those bolts in loosely. Yeah, they should look like they're going to go in nicely. So let's grease the other side up real quick. Plenty of grease, heaps of grease. And that is ready to go. All right, let's get some bolts in. A couple of times. The good news is they were absolutely haggis. So they were all falling apart. This is like terrible and floppy and gross. This one is definitely all ripped apart, absolutely buggered. So I'm really glad that I've fixed them up. The other thing I'm going to do is fix those tie rods, which will be next week as well. So another thing off the list, all done and dusted. It is the next day and I think the calipers are looking pretty good. So again, pretty crappy lighting, but let's see the other side. Hang on. So you can see that one a little bit better. We've got a bit of light in the background, so it makes it a bit hard to see, but that's hardened up. I'm going to give them a little bit longer. I'm probably going to give them another 24 hours to go hard, because I feel like if I sand that now, it's still going to be a bit soft and it might like tear or not quite sand off the way I want it. But we can definitely pull this off. Looks good. We got a little bit of paint just on the disc there, but the pad will wipe that off. So I think what we're going to do is throw the calipers back together, put the brakes in, put the pads back in, put the pins in, the clips and everything nice and clean, and then I'll show Ollie how they all go back together, so he knows how they all go back together for next time. And we'll probably end up putting the wheels back on and driving it this weekend, or maybe driving it tomorrow, so to give them like a heat treatment through that paint so it sets really hard. And then on Saturday morning, I reckon we'll give them a sand. Yeah, I reckon that's a good idea. All right, so putting these pads back into the discs and making them so that they're not dangerous or they can't move around or fall out. You got four main things. We've got our pads, we've got our locating pins which slide through the caliper and hold the pad there, and then we've got these which hold tension on the pads. And they just sort of hold them in place. And then we've got our little locking pin here as well, which goes through those pins at the back of the caliper to hold them in. Grab a pad, and obviously this is the meaty part that touches the disc, so that's got to face middle ways, whatever side you put that in. So yeah, wiggle that in. Yeah, and sometimes the disc is not like straight, so they hold tension on that and the wheel holds that straight. So you can chuck the other one in on the other side. You see how they're sort of the same shape as the disc? Cool. Grab a pin, and the pins very, very carefully slot in there, and then see how, have a look on the pad. See how locating, and then they go through. Yep. Push it all the way through. You might need a wiggle. Yep, and the other one very carefully. I did try to clean the ends of them up. See how what I mean by that? They look nicer if they're a little bit cleaner. So that one, can you see which way the pad needs to go to? Yep, nice. And poking all the way through, all the way in. All right, so in the end of those pins, there's little holes. Yeah. Which is what this locking pin's going to do, but we'll do that last. This one is just going to keep those pads pushed, a bit of pressure on those pads and keep them pushed down. So what we need to do, see the little lips on the end? Yeah. So there's a lip this way on there, and then a lip the opposite way on there. So we want to feed that underneath that pin. Yep, try and keep it in the middle of the caliper as well, see how it's hitting on there. Yep. And you want to, it'll click on over there, you got to push really hard. Nice. There's little holes on there. Can you see the hole here? So I'm going to rotate it around that way and then do the same with the other ones. So you just got to poke the edges in. You might need to rotate that a little bit more if you can't get it in. Little boss man's got all the wheels off, and it's hard to tell if these calipers have been painted before, but it looks like someone sanded off the Nissan on the backs. The fronts definitely weren't like that. But our camber arms, all tight still, looking good. Alright, so come and do the reverse of what we did on the front one, Ollie. Alright, got the pin off. I'll take a bit of tension off that. There's one. Don't drop the plate. So sit them nicely down here, out the way. There's one pad and a second pad. There it is. So there's still plenty of meat on there. They're good to go. We don't need to replace them. The wear tab is broken off on that one, which is a bit weird. Cool, so I want Ollie to paint the back calipers if he can, see how he goes on the first one, but he's obviously never painted anything before, never spray painted anything, which is a good thing, keep it that way. No spray painting anything, unless you're with me. So I thought, as a practice go, he's been shaking that can crazy, let's try and paint this. Let's see if he can get like a nice even coat. So I was trying to describe that you want to start sort of before you hit it and finish after you hit it, so psh, psh, psh. See if you can try and get the hang of it. And then so you want it to be loose, you don't want to be too stiff, and you want to not too close, yeah, like from there. Yeah, so you see how you see how you're starting here and finishing here. Yeah. You want to start here and finish down here. So you don't do it, yeah, try not to do it quicker, you just need to push the button at the right times. Yeah, that's all right, that's all right. So try it like this. See how I'm starting at the bottom and finishing at the top, and you don't have to do it fast because then you're not controlling what you're doing. So try again. So don't have to do it fast, but you just want to be pushing the button at the right time. Yep, too close, way too close. See how you're drawing a thin line? That's going to look terrible on the caliper. So slowly, yep. And then you're not, so stop. See all these drips? Yeah. That's because you're hesitating on the button. You need to have it on or off. Yep. Yeah, too fast. So, yep. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Try and do this side of it, nice and evenly, not too close. That's better. Nice. All right. You ready for the caliper? I'm nervous. I'm definitely nervous. Hopefully you're all good. I think that last one was good. Let's do one more and then we'll go do the caliper, I reckon. I reckon Mum's gonna be angry with using all our rubbish bags. Yep. I reckon we're pretty much ready for you to do some spraying. That's good. Not too much on one spot, and then front, you're a bit close. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not too close, that's a bit close. See how it's really like wet here? Yeah. That's because you were too close there. So you want to go maybe from this angle and get this top here. Too close. Oh, you keep going so close. Yep. Now change your position here. Get that front bit. Not too close. We've given them a nice coat of paint. We're going to let them dry for about 40 minutes. We're going to chuck another coat on. We'll probably do that about 3 times. It's the next day and we're ready to put this car back together. We've got a meet on today called Cars and Culture, so we want to get down to that one. It's fairly early in the morning, so we're going to try and get this car back together so we can take it down to the meet. Calipers turned out really good. We're going to put a heat cycle or 2 through them by driving the car down to this meet. Hopefully when we get back, these brakes will all be mint and ready for some sanding. So it's going to be a hot one today, so see how we go with doing them a little bit later today when it cools down. But like I said, we're going to get these back calipers back together, put all the pads in, put all the wheels in, get the car back on the ground, and then we can go check out this car meet because it's going to be pretty epic apparently. This is what the calipers look like at the moment, which is actually really cool. Really happy with how they turned out, nice and glossy. Heaps of paint left to sand off that Nissan as well, which is going to turn out really, really nice. I just don't want to do it now because, yeah, I feel like that paint will be a little bit soft. But we'll get all these back in, rebuild them, get these plastic bags off, and get the car on the ground and go for a drive. Culture car show. So last time it was pretty huge, there was a heap of cars there. We're already seeing some pretty sick cars, some really nice cars. Beautiful day here today. It's what, 38 degrees, 37, 38 degrees. It's a hot one, so we'll try and stick around and not get too roasted in the sun. Last year when we came here, just for a little bit, we were watching some of the cars leave, and it was pretty epic when everyone was leaving. So pretty keen to see what's at the show this year. We might park the car in there, we might not. We'll see how we go. We're probably half an hour after it started, give or take. So we'll show you around some of the cars that we'll see. Thanks, dude. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Cheers, man. Well, that's the Motorculture car show all done and dusted. There were some pretty crazy cars there. That was really cool to see. Ferraris, old school muscle cars, JDM cars, like pretty much everything. So that was really cool to go see. It's really good to see a big collection of so many different cars all into one spot. We're just doing a bit of a beach drive. We've got our ices. It's about 38 degrees, like I said. It's real hot. We've got the aircon cranking. And yeah, we're doing a bit of a beach drive on the way home. We're gonna let the car cool down once we get home. We're gonna probably flick one wheel off at a time, give those calipers a bit of a sand. Then the brakes are all done. And tomorrow we've got another car show. We've got a big one down at the beach called All Japan Day, which is All Japan. So I think there's going to be some crazy cars, even cars we didn't see today, or a lot of cars we didn't see today, because they'd be saving themselves for the car show tomorrow. We're going to get this car home, get the wheels off, sand those brakes down, then we don't have to worry about them anymore, and we'll head to the car show tomorrow. See you back at home. Alright, we're back home, got the car all jacked up. I'm about to attempt to sand out the Nissan, just the top Nissan on that caliper. Paint came up alright, we've got some watermarks and stuff which will come off. So I got a couple of different options. I've got a sanding block, which is probably the right way to do it, with some sandpaper, or I've got a trusty little orbital sander. I'm gonna try with the orbital sander because I think I'm gonna slip a fair bit with the block, and I really don't want to touch the rest of the paint. Let's give it a crack and see how we go. It seems to be working. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's definitely taking the paint off real carefully, not touching any of the other caliper, which is good, so I'll keep going with that. I'm pushing so light so that I'm hardly touching anything, if you can see that. I reckon it's coming up all right. So just want to super hard trying to get the edge of that end, but everything else seems to be good. Feels really smooth, and the edges are really nice actually. So all right, I'm going to keep going really carefully, and like I said, I'm hardly even letting it touch it, and it's just taking the top off of it. I reckon that's about it. So really careful. I think I almost slipped. Right, I did. Damn, just touched the paint. That's alright, I'm alright with that. So if we clean all the gaps, clean all the dust off, I reckon it looks pretty mint. It's definitely not perfect, but it's way better than it was. Heaps cleaner. Alright, we're going to do the backs and the other side, and we'll report back once we're done. I'll tell you how many of them I stuffed up. I reckon that's turned out pretty mint. I'm pretty impressed with it. Definitely not perfect, far from perfect, but it looks 100 times better than what I did before. I think the standard lettering makes a massive difference. All right, let's do the rest of these back. So I've got to do the back ones, and I've got to do the other side, and I'll report back and tell you how many of them I stuffed up. Fingers crossed they all go good. So it turns out there's actually a cruise on tonight, Zakusha, which is a cruise, or a sort of a cruise meet that we've been following for a little while since we've had the car. So down at Castle Plaza, we're going to go down and check out this cruise meet. My little girl's birthday party with her friends over this weekend, so I'm going to leave them here with the missus. They can have an absolute ball, go get some takeaway, and have a really good night. And me and Ollie are going to go for a cruise down to this car meet, and we'll come join back in later. All right, let's do the rest of these calipers, then we'll get this car all ready to go. This one's not going to be as nice as the other one, that's for sure. That sucks. It's quite hard. I just can't even think of like a really good way to do it, unfortunately. That sucks. I just touched the caliper on here. The sandpaper on the caliper. I wonder if there is a way. See, it's really squashy on here, so it folds around the lettering and just touches it. I might be able to cut and polish that. I'm sure there's a heaps better way to do this, and I probably should have watched some videos. I've always done it like this with my other cars earlier when I was younger, but I don't remember it being this hard. Oh well, it's all good. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to look a little bit neater. That. It's better. Well, that is this video done and dusted, guys. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate you guys more than you know. We'll be back next week with another video. We've got some fun stuff arriving this week. Fingers crossed the body kit either arrives this week coming or the following week, but we've got a heap of parts from Just Jap Racing. We've got some tie rods, we've got decap pipes, we've got some bushes and some other stuff as well. So we've got heaps of stuff to do on this car. It's never ending. I've actually got a really interesting video. I'll show you a quick little glimpse. I'm not sure if you can make that out. You probably can't, but there's a boost gauge in there and it's got an interesting story, which some of you might want to see, some of you might not want to see, but stay tuned for next week's video. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It makes a massive difference to the reach in our videos. Really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Bye.